So you can understand that a very sad incident took place, that their wish of 200 pounds was fulfilled, but at the cost of Herbert's death. It was rather pathetic for the White family, because it was a very small family with father, mother, and son, and their only son's uh, life was lost, and it was a very pathetic for them to. Since the shock was very pathetic. Now, in the cemetery, some 2 miles distant, the old people buried their dead and came back to a house steeped in a shadow and silence. So, in the graveyard, they just buried the dead body of Herbert, and then the old people, means old Mr. White and Mrs. White, they were very disappointed, frustrated, full with grief. They came back to the house, and it was steeped in a shadow, means it was covered in a shadow, means the whole house was dark, means the light of the house, Herbert, was no more. And silence, it was totally dark and silence, the house. It was all over so quickly that the first they could hardly realize it. It was all over, the accident happened. Then they had to bury Herbert, means it happened so quickly that they could not realize it, and remained in a state of expectations as though of something else to happen. And they remained in a state of expectations that something else would happen. Something else would happen, something else which was to lighten their load, too heavy for the old hearts to bear. Means something was going to happen which would be shedding of the burden of their loads, and it was very much too heavy, means it was very much heavy for the old hearts to tolerate. But the days passed, and the expectation gave place to resignation. So the days passed. What happened? Their expectations gave away play to resignations. Means they had just resigned. Means they may feel defeated. Sometimes they hardly exchanged a word, for now they had nothing to talk about. Sometimes they talked, sometimes they did not talk. They had no such energy to talk with each other, because the topic of the subject, that is Herbert, the life force of the house, was not there. It was about a week after the old man, walking suddenly in the night, found himself alone. So it was about a week after the old man was waking suddenly in the house, he found himself alone. The room was in darkness, and the sound of subdued weeping came from the window. So the room was in darkness, it could be seen, and the sound of subdued weeping. Subdued weeping means a person was crying, means in a very low tone, means it could not be heard, but a low sound of crying was coming and came from the window. Means Mrs. White was standing near the window, and she was crying badly. Come back, he said tenderly, it will be cold, it will be cold. Means Mr. White warned her that it was a very cold weather, she would catch cold. So he told her to come back. It is colder for my son. And the old woman and wept afresh. She again pointed out that it was rather colder for her son, and the old woman again started crying. The sound of her sobs died away to his ears. The bed was warm, and his eyes heavy with sleep. So the sound of her sobs died away, means she was crying with convulsive gasps. Means slowly that sound of crying was moved away, because that man was very sleepy. So the bed was warm, and his eyes were heavy with sleep. Means he was about to sleep. He dozed until a sudden wild cry from his wife awoke him. Means he became sleepy, he was dozing. At that time, suddenly, this lady cried out very loudly, and his wife woke him up. There, the monkey's paw, she cried wildly. So, she, in a very wild manner, in a very angry manner, in a very loud manner, she cried out that the monkey's paw. He started up in alarm. Now he became very cautious, and he rose up. Where is it? What's the matter? Means where was the monkey's paw? What is the matter? She came stumbling toward him. She means this was about to fall. She came towards him. I want it. She wanted it. She said quietly, you have not destroyed it. I think means Mrs. White thought that he had not destroyed it. It is in the parlor. So he pointed out that it is in the sitting room on the bracket, means on the shelf it had been kept. He replied, marveling, means why? Means he wanted to know the reason, that why it had happened. Why didn't I think it of it before? She said hysterically. She was crying very badly, and she thought that why she had not thought it before. The other two wishes, we have only had one. Means other two wishes she had not thought, means she had only one wish means they had been, only one wish had been fulfilled. Why she had not thought of other two wishes? Was not that enough? He demanded fiercely. Now Mr. uh, White was very angry. He said that, was that not enough? No, she cried triumphantly. In a victorious manner, said, no, it was. We will wish our boy alive again. Now, it's such a weird wish she wanted to make, that she wanted, she would be making the second wish to make Hubbard alive again. Good God, you are mad, he cried aghast. So he was so afraid that he thought that how could this happen? He said that, good God, get it, she panted, get it quickly and wish, oh my boy, oh my boy. So he said that, you just get it. And she panted, she was breathing breathlessly, get it quickly and wish, oh my boy, oh my boy. She was crying badly for his boy. Her husband struck a match and lit a candle. Then her husband struck the match and just lit up a candle. You don't know, what are you saying, he said. When she told him that she did not know that what she was doing. Go and get it and wish, cried his wife, quivering with excitement. So he said, what? Then go, you should get it and wish, and cried his wife, and she was quivering and trembling with excitement. The old man's voice shook. The old man's voice shook means the old man was terribly scared. He thought that how could Hubbard come, because he was already dead, and if he would come, means it would be his ghost only. So he became very terribly afraid, and I could only recognize him by his clothes. Where you don't know what her husband struck a match and lit a candle. Then get it, she panted, get it quickly and wish. She said that you just get him, get that paw, so that I could wish. Oh my boy, oh my boy. She was crying in sadness. Her husband struck a match and lit the candle. You don't know what you are saying, he said. He lit up a candle and he said that she did not know what she was saying. Go and get it and wish, cried his wife, quivering with excitement. Her wife was very much trembling with excitement and said that you just get it. The old man's voice shook. The old man's voice was trembling with fear. He has been 10 days, and besides, I could only recognize him by his clothing. So he had been already dead for 10 days, and besides that, he could only recognize him by his clothing only. If he was too terrible for you to see him, then how now? Means it would be very much terrible for him to see then how he would be looking at him. Bring him back, cried the old woman. Do you think I feared the child I have nursed? Means she wanted to say that, to bring him back, and she did not fear the child she had nursed. We went down in the darkness. The tallis was in its place, and a horrible fear that unspoken wish might bring his mutilated son before him, he could escape from the room. So what happened? He went down in the darkness. The talisman, the lucky charm, was in its place, and a horrible fear and a terrible fear was there, that the unspoken wish might bring his mutilated son before him. Here he could escape from the room. So at that time he thought that unspoken wish means that wish, if he would really do the wish, what would happen? The mutilated means the badly damaged body, means totally shattered body would be coming in front of him.